Welcome, guys, to episode number 7 of Bar Restaurant Breakthrough, Snapchat Secrets to Boost Your Bar Promotions, ROI, with Louie, LaVella. And I want to give you a quick little bio and intro to Louie. Louie LaVella's clients are entertainment personalities, nightclubs, concerts, festivals, and he creates brand and marketing strategies to engage and connect with their audience. Working with the shark-infested waters of the nightlife and music industry as a marketing and branding consultant, LaVella has been delivering high-profit solutions to both live entertainment events, musicians, and venues for years. With over 20-plus years in experience in the nightlife industry and extensive development and production experience with national television projects, author, speaker, event producer, and coach, LaVella has produced and marketed over 30 live music concerts in the past few years. Winner of the Niagara Falls Awards, Promoter of the Year in 2012, Juno Awards, Dance Category Committee, and he's also been called Mediapreneur, combining a successful TV executive producer and host role with being a sought-after marketing and branding consultant in the nightlife and music industry. In his television days, he had the opportunity to interview the likes of Lady Gaga, Richard Branson, Backstreet Boys, and more. Louie, that's a lot of accomplishments right there.
Not a bad few years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Not a bad couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about Snapchat, and just for those of you who may not understand what Snapchat is, or just are not into social media or getting into the technical side of things, we're going to give you some very simple ways to have Snapchat working for you and explain to you why you cannot ignore Snapchat these days, how fast it's growing, and where really the younger demographics are, if that's one of your key target markets. But we do see a lot of older people, starting to get on this. But Louie, why don't you're a much better expert than I am about Snapchat, which is why I reached out to you for this interview. But why don't you kind of give us an overview of what is Snapchat?
Absolutely. So, I mean, like most new social media platforms, usually the young demographic jumps into the new things and tries them out like crazy. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions jump into them. And Snapchat was one of the latest ones. Of course, it's not that new anymore, and it has exploded throughout the world. But for the most part, a lot of people think of the younger demographic on there. And it's no longer the case like you just mentioned. But in a nutshell, to explain what Snapchat is, it really started out as a private messaging using quick video snaps or quick image snaps. So
Right.
what you would do is you would have friends that you would follow each other. So let's say me and you follow each other on Snapchat. I could take a picture, send it to you. And the cool part of Snapchat in the early days was it would disappear. As soon as you saw it, it was gone.
Right.
Snapchat then added the stories function. And what that meant was, instead of just sending you a personalized snap, which I can still do, an image or a video, I can now upload it to what's called my story. And so everything I'm doing all day long, if I'm uploading videos, 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there, 5 seconds, or quick images to show people what I'm up to, it goes to my story and it stays as one ongoing looping, image and video kind of show for 24 hours, and then it disappears. So now, instead of it being more of a closed private network, it can be a little bit more public.
Right.
But the cool feature of the stories and how we can use it like crazy with the nightclub and bar and restaurant industry is we can create our own little reality TV show. So as we jump into this conversation a little bit more, there's a big difference between the Snapchats and then Instagram or Facebook and Twitter. I mean, it has its own way to use it. And I like to use that metaphor and explanation on create your mini reality TV show. Because now that you don't have to private message every single, let's say, person that follows you, and you can throw it on your story, you can create this little show.
Awesome, awesome. And before we get into that, because obviously we're going to dive into exactly how bars, restaurants, nightclubs can use Snapchat to grow their business. But before we did this episode, I wanted to do a little bit of research and kind of find out, how big is Snapchat? Is this just the next new fad and then it's going to be gone in 60 days or 90 days, whatever it is? And in the show notes of this episode, I'm going to leave a link to what I found so everybody can take a look at this. But from what stats are showing is that now Snapchat is the second most powerful social media platform in the United States. There's more users than Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. It grew in 1 year. Snapchat grew, and I found this astonishing, grew in 1 year as Twitter has done in 4 years. So it shows how fast people are using this. I'm sitting on the couch the other day with my wife, and I see her doing all these crazy things with my daughter, and making these funny pictures. My son was doing the same thing, and then as I started seeing her play with it, I see so many of her friends doing the same kind of stuff, and then also posting those pictures to Facebook. And then I started noticing more people in the bars doing it. And with as busy as I've been lately, I don't have the time to study every single. There's so many different marketing strategies out there, which is why I wanted to come to you to get the expert advice on how do we use Snapchat to grow our business. And then once we get into that, for someone like me, I don't want to learn Snapchat. I want to learn how to profit from it. But how can I now get my manager? How can I go find somebody else to take care of Snapchat for me, at my bars where I don't have to do it, but I can give them the strategy and say, here's what needs to be done on a daily basis. Here's what we need to do. So let's first dive into how to use it, and then
Sure.
we'll dive into maybe how to outsource that.
Absolutely. So, there's some fantastic ways to use Snapchat. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to think of it as a different platform. I think a big mistake, just social media wise, for every business and not just hospitality industry, I see this across the board, is one, you're thinking about old school ways of advertising. Print, flyers, radio, TV, it's a push out medium. And when you move into social media, and this happens even on Facebook, Instagram, and including Snapchat, you're bringing that old school mentality there where you're doing a push out medium. And it's a wrong way to do it because it's social media.
Right.
And if you engage and go two-way, it becomes much more powerful. But that's for a whole other podcast, right? A whole other show. And specific to Snapchat, it also has its own context. Much different than Instagram, which is a beautiful photo, your concert, your nice food, and Facebook, which has a lot more media. Snapchat, like I mentioned, could be a reality show, right? So I like to explain Snapchat as the gears behind that marketing machine that maybe has created that beautiful Instagram photo or that gallery of images on Facebook. What's going on behind the scenes? So that's a great way to consider, what do I do on Snapchat? Like, am I just going to go, if there's a band at my restaurant or bar, am I just going to go snap a picture? It's kind of a crappy quality, right? You want a good photographer to take a great picture and put that on Instagram, right? But what's happening behind the scenes? What's happening before all of that nice picture, right? That's where Snapchat could come into play. So if you do have a band, perhaps you want to do some quick interviews with them. 10-second questions before they get to the stage, or maybe you want them to take over your Snapchat. You give them your username and password while they're at the hotel in the limo on the way over. And this is, let's say, band or DJ related. If it's a restaurant, maybe your head chef or cook, or maybe your busboy's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And you want to go take quick snaps and videos of his daily antics.
Right.
And it's just, like I said, if you think of it as
building relationship, right?
It is, right? And it's showing the insides of the working machine. These are the gears behind that. Right. And you can go all kinds of ways, right? Again, you can do, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I like that idea, especially with restaurants or even bars. You got this new menu item that's coming, or you're going to put something on special, something brand new. People get sick and tired with the same stuff over and over. We want new. That's why we're watching the news all the time. Oh, what's new? What's going on? Well, same thing with menu items. So I think it would be cool to kind of take, and I'm going to do this with our cook now that you're kind of giving me the idea. We just launched a brand new menu, 15 menu items on it. And so I think it'd be kind of cool to just start taking videos of him, showing him prepping it, little by little.
Building it.
Yeah, building it, and then also creating it on the plate, and then serving it, maybe even giving it to a customer and get a video testimonial from him, just saying, hey, this is the best burger, whatever it is, in town. So you're saying you can kind of create that storyboard and blast that out to your followers, right?
Right. And so when you're doing each little either image or 10 to 15 second video burst, it's a great example of him putting, building it and talking and then bringing it out. You upload that to your story. So as people are following your account, again, there's two ways to use Snapchat. You can either message it to everybody, and when they look at that one snap, it disappears after. But right now you're building a mini reality TV show, right? A little mini reality segment. So you want that to go to your story instead. This way, everybody gets notified. When they jump into Snapchat, your story's updated and they can click to watch it, and it'll go right from the beginning. So as you're doing this and maybe you put something else on later in the evening, they can follow literally snap after snap in a row to follow that whole little story. So if they catch it later on the evening, they're watching all of that, building the new menu piece, right to the testimonial. So what you want to do at the very end, because it will disappear in 24 hours, is go download it. There's a little spot, a little kind of menu, I think it's the 3 dots, menu item for the story you post. And don't forget to do that at the end of the night. Download it to your phone. So you have it. You can use that on Instagram, on Facebook. Did you
Oh.
catch? And that's a good way, and we'll talk about this maybe even now, how to get people onto Snapchat.
Yeah, so there's a great one. There's one more question I have for you. So let's say we got a slow day coming up. It's a Monday. And we'll talk about getting in how do we build our Snapchat following. But what would be a strategy of that we could use Snapchat instead of doing this long video right away, but what could we do to instantly get something out to them for this particular offer? Hey, anybody who shows this on Snapchat gets 20% off. Would that be like a video message? Could it be an image? Or, hey, come in today and get this free appetizer when you come in and buy a free meal? You know, some kind of offer.
Mm-hmm.
What type of offers can you see? What's the strategy behind that with Snapchat?
I think the first thing is you want to know which audience is on your Snapchat. And people always think Snapchat's the young audience, and a good chunk of it is the young audience. But now there's a lot of people on Snapchat, like you mentioned. We're kind of on it. Your wife, my wife, you know what I mean? There's a lot more people. So what's your actual restaurant or bar audience? And if they're on Snapchat, then you can kind of craft the promotion that'll work with them. But like you just mentioned, it's quite easy to just take an image of the burger, you could type text and say, screenshot this and bring it to us. Do you know what I mean? You can do other things too, where you have them create their own little image of something, a little promotion, and they blast it to their followers. I've had promotions like that work really well. You can draw on it, with your finger. You can have, or instead of writing, you can draw. So you have somebody that's pretty artistic. You can draw out something, or make little doodles on the burger plate and stuff like that. You can make it very visually pleasing. And then, again, they can screenshot it and come in and show it. Or if it's on your story and it hasn't disappeared, maybe you show it because it's 24 hours. While this is active and it's only 24 hours, this promo is alive. Awesome. And it's going to be gone because everybody understands that Snapchat stories will disappear in 24 hours.
There's that urgency and scarcity.
An urgency. It will be gone because it'll be gone and you can't show it to me, right? I've even done promos where you send one snap to people, to your followers. And the first snap will say, because it disappears, the next snap, do not open. When you come in today, it'll have a percentage. And whatever that is, get off. And they won't know because as soon as they open it, it disappears.
Okay.
So they open the next snap, right?
So that's kind of like
a scratch card where you don't know what you're going to get.
The scratch card or the bounce back envelope, the no peeking envelope. You've seen that a lot before where, hey, you get this when you come in within the next 2 weeks. You can bring this in. Don't peek, don't open it. There's a discount inside, but you don't know until you come back in. So this is the digital version. No printing required.
Right, and you could have a new promo. It could be Mondays or whatever slow days or lunches, and you could say it's one menu item we decide on and a certain discount value we decide on, and you send that out either Tuesday morning saying don't open the next snap because that's your coupon. If you open it, it's expired. You have to show your server there, and that gamifies it a little bit too, and it'll excite some people.
So I like this. So I think at least, especially for my audience that's listening, which majority bar owners, it's about, I'd say 65% bar owners, restaurant owners, some nightclub owners. But I think this strategy right here is probably the simplest version to start using Snapchat to make a profit in your bar or your restaurant. Pick a specific day of the week, or maybe just pick random days, one day a week, and do some kind of offer, just like you said, and send them, one image, one message, and then that next one would be, hey, don't open this until you come in because you're going to get this value of either X, Y, or Z, or whatever it may be. Right. Absolutely. So that's probably the simplest thing before people start thinking, okay, like we were mentioning, and doing a reality TV show type of thing, which would be cool to do and people should do. But just to get their feet wet, this would probably be the easiest way to start driving people in the door.
Absolutely. And so maybe we should start getting into how to grow that audience. Because if you only have 10 people on Snapchat, it's just numbers. It's like sending out 10 flyers, right? So you want to grow that audience. And with that said, that little reality TV show idea and these things are going to keep people wanting to follow you. But right away, if they know they get coupons, instead of being on an email list, which is one piece of marketing, open rates could be up or down depending on your audience and the content you deliver. I've seen open rates 8%, which is awful, right?
Horrible.
And maybe that's not a good avenue to market anymore, right? Even though you own the list and stuff like that, if your open rates aren't in the higher average, it may not be worth it. You know what I mean? Right. So you got to engage with good content. And of course, again, that's another podcast, right? And then keep your list engaged. Same with Snapchat. If you're not putting out decent content, or it's always just coupons and sales, people may just not want to follow you anymore.
Right.
Only the fans that love the food and be like, oh, we go there all the time anyways. I need this coupon, but you're almost defeating the purpose. So you want to gain new followers. So I would absolutely use your other channels to push people over. See, the thing with Snapchat is it is a closed network, so to speak. So I can't go to Snapchat yet. They're starting to roll out some features that are going to be more helpful to discover people. So I can't go search for you. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have to know this is my username or click on this link and that's my Snapchat, right? I can't go
Okay.
discover people.
So if
Like,
people are in the bar, you know,
mhm.
let's say I want my bartenders to grow our Snapchat following to 100 people in the next 30 days. What would the bartender need to do? What would the server need to do? You know, we could tell them, hey, every Monday we put out this special on Snapchat. If you have it, if you don't get it, here's what we're doing. How would they get you would just give them the username?
Yeah, you can give them the username. You can make little business card size, yellow because that's their thing. And
Right.
everybody who joins Snapchat gets a little snap code. It's like that little ghost
Yeah.
with it's like a QR code idea. Grab that right from your Snapchat phone. You can download it there and put that on that little business card. And what happens is when you open the app and you want to follow somebody, you can either enter the username or use the code, and it just uses the camera. It's like a QR code, and it'll automatically bring up that username. So that's another great way with the waitresses, bartenders. You could maybe make coasters with the, hey, follow us on Snapchat and put your QR code right there. If for a bar area, I mean, there's a couple of ways that just gets the awareness of your username. And then,
Okay.
like I mentioned, I would utilize that same idea on Instagram if you already have a follower there or followers there, and same with Facebook. And from there, you want to push over the reasons why you want to follow on Snapchat. So when you've
What are the
downloaded that.
benefits? Yeah, give them the
Right. Like if you
benefits.
do one little reality TV show, like you mentioned, the new item, that could be out of so many snaps and videos, like a minute long in the
Yeah.
end, which is great. Post that to Instagram and Facebook. Have you seen our little reality show? Follow us on Snapchat for behind the scenes stuff. You don't have
Yeah.
to do it every day, but you use one that's funny and good, and it was the best one you have. And that's how you use them to push over to Snapchat and grow that following. So that's
Awesome.
another way to utilize that. And of course, the business cards, the coasters, the bartenders actually telling them, hey, follow us because we send coupons. We have a funny reality show. As you get into that, there's just more features and reasons why people want to follow you on another platform, right? That's why it's got to be different. If it's just the
Awesome.
same old, they'll be like, well, I already follow you on Facebook. I see the same photos on Instagram. It's just another thing. So if you give them a different reason, that's a great way to
Okay.
get them to follow, right?
And the last thing I want to cover too is I know filters are becoming really big, and I've heard a little bit
Absolutely.
on filters, and this is something I'm going to start doing at Casey's here shortly. But let everybody know what filters are and really how to use that for branding and
Right. So
exposure.
absolutely. So a filter is kind of like either a lower third or your logo and some drawings on a snap. So what happens is it's very geo-targeted. So if you're in another city, most cities have their own filter. If you're in New York City or Niagara Falls and you take a picture, you can swipe to add either different coloring or some location-based filter. So it could say Niagara Falls. So when you take that picture, everybody who sees your snap knows that you're in Niagara Falls, right? Or New York City or wherever it is. But businesses can also create their own filters. So for my festival, for example, if you are in that geo-targeted area, just the park area, and you take a picture of stage or your friends, you can swipe by and you'll see the city, of course, but you'll also see our festival filter. So,
Awesome.
and that costs by the time that you have it active and by square footage. So when
Okay.
you do upload, so it's a transparent image. So let's say for Casey's, you might want your logo, or you maybe you'll do Casey's cam, and it looks like
Yeah.
a little camera with a little recording
Ah,
thing,
I
right? And
like
say
that.
on Friday nights, take a picture of yourself, use our filter, and share that. Somebody could win something, right?
Yeah.
And so what you'll do is when you upload that, you'll get it designed. People can do it for cheap. You can do it for yourself. It's very, very easy to do. There's a template you can download, Photoshop, right off Snapchat's website, and just put your logos on, right?
Right.
And your little design. And it's by square footage. So you may want to just, blanket your bar. So
Yeah.
when they're in the bar and they're snapping themselves, your filter shows up. And it's by time. So you may only want it during lunch specials. You may want it during busy nights. So you don't want to blanket it 24 hours a day constantly because that's going to cost differently. I
Do it
do
when the
know
most amount
Snapchat.
of people are in there.
Yeah, in events, things like that, because it'll add to the promotion, right, into your branding. I
Right.
have seen people drop their filter on other bars. I
Yeah.
have seen that, right? So at the competition, I have seen that happen. It's like flaring their bar, so I'm not sure it's
Yeah.
it's,
I
it's a
wouldn't do.
nice
I
thing to do.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have seen that happen. Or I have seen things that make sense. So let's say at the movie theater, if you know that you're doing something student special and it's at a certain time movies are playing where the teens are out there, or could be couples out for 50 Shades and you're going to have like a Valentine's special, you may blanket a movie theater
Okay.
That's not competitive. And people
Right.
who are there now, the thing is, are they snapping in the theater? Maybe young kids before it comes on might do it. So again, know your audience, but you can blanket other areas, and then
Awesome.
depending on how big that area is and the amount of time. I mean, I've done it's like $20, $50 to blanket 4 hours here. Like it's not that expensive, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it drops your filter on there, and people can just swipe through, use your filter, and it brands their image to your location, which is kind of neat.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Louie, I appreciate it. And if people wanted to get more information on you, I mean, you have tons of great marketing, social media strategies. Where can people go to get more information from you?
Yeah, my website obviously is a great start. Has a lot of articles and videos on there, which is louielavella.com, spelled LOUIELAVELLA. And same with all social media channels. Obviously, all over Facebook, I'm always posting stuff, Instagram and Snapchat. It's the same thing at Louie Lavella. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with anybody. Any questions? I love sharing some info and doing things like this. And I encourage everybody to jump on Snapchat, test it out, try it, build that following, and you'll find it's pretty effective.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Louie. And again, if anybody has not subscribed to iTunes, please do that and leave a review down below. And if you have any questions for Louie, you know where to find him. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, Louie. Appreciate it, bud.
Take care.